All right, welcome to the Nathaneal Podcast. The guy that we have today is scaling 7 to 9 figure ecom brands using email, SMS, and other marketing channels. He's the founder of Ecom Advertisers, an agency that has generated over 7 figures in sales per month for their clients. But before that, he also spent a decade as a software engineer. If I'm not mistaken, he's scaled that to 7 figures as well. He's built and sold a YouTube channel with over 100K subscribers and 15 million views, and has even taught salsa dancing for 7 years. So, Daniel, welcome to the show. Stoked to have you here, bro.
It's incredibly kind words, so I appreciate that. I'm excited to be here. It's going to be fun. Very kind of you. Thank you for that.
I saw your bio and I was like, whoa, this guy's doing a lot of stuff. He must be you must have a lot of stories. So what I want to first talk about is, how did you get into entrepreneurship, YouTube, salsa dancing, ecom as well? What was the story behind those?
Yeah, I think the story was always the same. And I was like trying to run away from my jobs that I didn't like. I never liked the 9 to 5 thing. So I started trying. First, I would try to create a SaaS. I had a few like businesses that I built, but they never made that much money. But I was always trying to run away from 9 to 5. I never liked the idea of going to an office, staying there 12 hours, then leaving. And I always thought, well, I'm making them so much money. Why am I not keeping some of it? And or at least more than I was getting. I was getting well paid in software, but I don't know. I always wanted to do my own thing. That's what I thought. And I tried so many things and I failed at so many things. Whether it was the YouTube stuff, I had crypto mining rigs in one of my rooms for years. It was pretty much everything that I could to run away. It wasn't like I always wanted to be an entrepreneur.
Right.
I just didn't want a normal job.
What your job before was software engineering, correct? Yeah, and then how did that, what were the initial steps? How did you go from 9 to 5 to building? Did you build on the side or did you just quit? How is that entrepreneurship journey for you?
Yeah. So I always built on the side because I tried a lot of things and they kept failing. And I was like, at least I have my job. At least I have a good salary here. It wasn't until I kind of got really tired of it. And I was working for a company here in Barcelona. I was like, I've got 3-4 months of savings. I think this email marketing thing is working. I'm going to try and jump. And I did. So I always built on the side, and I recommend anyone that is in eCom or anything like that to do on the side first. Make sure you have enough savings. Different people could take different levels of risks, right? If you have kids and stuff, you can't take as many risks. But get yourself 3 to 6 months of savings and then take the jump when you see money coming in. But don't do it before money comes in. It's so risky and it's so dangerous. And then you have your back against the wall and you have to work really hard to survive basically and make as much money as possible.
So before you did the ecom thing, you scaled a company first, correct? How did that go for you?
Yes. So I've scaled a few companies. I had a SaaS that went quite far. My YouTube channel went quite far as well before I sold it. But the SaaS was doing well, and it was like a payment platform. And I think to this day, it's probably taken $1.5 million in payments, dollars. But the margin wasn't there. There wasn't much profit. And I didn't really know what I was doing, to be honest. So I built it and then I sold my share of it to someone else. But it took me like 2 years of developing it. It just had Stripe in the background and stuff, but it worked pretty well.
And
it just didn't make
what was
that much
the
money.
SaaS again? Sorry. What's the offer?
Yeah, it was a payment platform. So we would find vets, which sounds really random when you put all ideas, but like during COVID, when we started it because we were doing online consults and things like that. And we created a platform where you could have calls online, and then you'd take payments, you'd have the calls, and then we'd keep a small portion of that. So I coded that from scratch. And it worked well for a while, but then COVID went away and then people wanted in-person sessions again. But I sold what I had from it and someone else took over it, and it's doing pretty well as far as I know. But it wasn't my thing so much. I prefer ecom a lot more than SaaS.
Gotcha. And how did you
coding too much
pivot into that? How did you start going? You were doing software developer stuff, and then you built the SaaS, which is kind of connected, but then you started doing ecom. What was the shift there?
I think, like most people getting into ecom, it was probably, I saw this guy, his name is Justin, I don't remember his last name, but he runs BSF, which is Beyond Six. figures. And he was doing a course, and I was like, this sounds cool. And I just invested as much as I could into it. And then I got into a mix of drop shipping, and then I started running my own store outside of drop shipping. I managed to make some good money, and I was like, wow, eCom is really cool. And then I found email marketing, and I was like, I really like this. And I started paying people to teach me everything they knew about it. And I got really into it. And
yeah, what was your first
product,
first eCom business?
Yeah, I did a couple of things. One of the things I was selling was night vision goggles. So it was like a sporting store that I sold. Yeah, it's random, right? And what I found was a lot of people, like hunters were buying it, and it took off. It did really well. It started taking off, but the margins weren't there. The more I scaled, the less margins I had. So that's when I got into email marketing. And I think that's what most people find with dropshipping. For example, you start making money, and then you're like, oh, wow, people can easily copy me. The margins aren't there. It's a dangerous game to play. But I found eCom, and I was like, this is really cool. And the logic behind eCom, and there's so many businesses out there, works. So you just need to figure out how to make money from it.
And what do you think is the sauce behind like success in eCom?
I guess it depends what you're doing, right? I think the source behind anything in eCom is the product, right? So whether you have an agency or an eCom store, whether maybe you're running meta ads, whatever, it's really the product. So I find that if you have a good product, whether it's a service or an actual physical product or digital, that will sell for itself. You then just need to market it a bit. But if you have a terrible product, it's really difficult. I even tweeted about this yesterday. It's so difficult to try to win with a bad product. So you're better off figuring out something really
And what would you say is like the best products in terms of like your experience? What's the products that you see it's like, yeah, this is gonna work?
In terms of what?
Just in terms of your experience, not in general. There's no one big answer, but in terms of you, what are the products that you look at and you see this has a potential to go? Like, let's say even you're willing to work for free for it because you know that it's just gonna work, or something like that.
Yeah, I don't think that exists in my experience. Someone once told me the only person that dictates whether a product is good or not is the one that pulls out the credit card to pay for it. And so what I found, especially when I was testing a lot of products in eCom, it doesn't really matter what you think is going to work. You're probably wrong. And a lot of the times, even if you think something is going to work, it doesn't. You think it's not going to work, and then it turns out that it works. So it's quite interesting how everything goes, but you have to test anything that you've got, whether it's a service or a product, physical or digital. You have to test it, because you'd be surprised. Like 99% of the time, you're going to be wrong about what performs unless you release something similar, then it might work. But there's no way of knowing, in my experience. And I've seen all kinds of stuff. We got access to so many eCom products.
So then what do you think are your metrics to say, like, I'm just curious, like, how do you track success in a way? Like, what are the things that you look at so that you can see, okay, this is a good product and we only need a few like strategies to launch it?
Yeah. In the world of email marketing, which is the one I've really specialized in, it's really interesting because I come into this problem at least once a week, and we'll see a new client, or like we run emails for 30 companies or so at the moment, and you can fire the same emails to two different companies. One will make a ton of money, one will make very little money, and that always is dependent on the product. So the big metric is how much people love it, how much do they like a product. But the best way to figure out is, again, test it. You'll see I always go back to that. Let's say I send 3 emails out for product launch, 3 to 6 emails. I'll know immediately if this, after the first email, I'll know if it will kill. Because immediately, people love the brand straight away. Maybe they have a strong online presence, Instagram or whatever. It'll perform. And then you can do the exact same thing for someone else. And you think, what the hell's going on? We've made no money here. And it's built from like word of mouth, how loyal people are to the brand, how good the product itself is. Because you can sell a terrible product one time and you can get away with it. But eventually people will be like, no, that's not good. Don't buy that. Buy from someone else. And that applies to everything online, digital products.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So really, so in a way, it's really more about the customers, would you say? Like it's really about how you treat your customers, your brand identity, all that.
Well, I think it always goes back to the quality of the product, right? The quality of the product dictates how everything else works. And there's no way of seeing that until you start selling it, or unless you know you've built something great. Like in my agency, I try to make sure the service that we give is really good, as I'm sure there's everybody else. And if that's good, then you start getting referrals. There's the word of mouth. Then you start getting people posting about you online. You get testimonials. And then that's when then marketing comes in to blow that up, right? Because then you're blowing up something that's already working, and that's
right. So
same for products, physical.
In a way, you kind of focus on building the good product first, and the marketing is just like the icing on top, somewhat.
Yeah, the marketing is like the just adding visibility to the product. Really, no matter what happens, you're putting more eyeballs on something. That's when it then blows up. If it's
speaking
good.
of marketing, why did you choose? You mentioned earlier you chose email marketing because it's the one that resonated with you the most. I'm curious why email marketing? What is it about email that you prefer over other avenues like paid ads or even social media?
Yeah, definitely. So as you can tell by the name of my agency, eCom Advertisers, we actually started off running Facebook ads. That's what I started with. And I liked it, but I was good at it, but I wasn't that good at it. So the other thing is I didn't like it that much. But when I got into emails, I actually used them for my own store. I hired email marketing agencies myself. And I always thought they're not doing a very good job. But I think in fairness, maybe 60, 70% of agencies could do a lot better than they do. So I got into email marketing. It's not like I'm a designer, for example, so I focus more on strategy. But yeah, so I just liked it. It's like anything else. Why does anyone run paid ads? They get into it. And I just thought it was a lot more interesting. I like the back end side of things. I understand paid ads as well. But
so
it just
why did paid ads not entice you? You think like is it because like what do you? I can't think of maybe because you need to spend money or what made you not like paid ads?
No, I spent plenty of money when I was running my own store, so I ran my own ads when I was doing that. Maybe there was something about running, spending other people's money that made me a bit uncomfortable, maybe, I would say. But overall, I don't think I was that good at it. I think I was okay. I still run my own ads to this day. I was launching one about an hour ago. But other people's makes me not love it as much, I think email is one of those things that really performs well if you understand it. And my kind of software background helped me grasp a lot more of that. So I think that makes what we do a lot better. And it's kind of a background that a lot of people don't have, especially a lot of email marketers, a lot of agencies don't really have the software background. And that's helped me do some fairly advanced stuff for our clients, which directly makes them more money. So I think that also
interesting.
And what were I liked about
could you like be more specific on the things that you do? Basically, your unique mechanism versus other ecom, like email marketers. Like, what are the things that you offer that are the sucky email marketers?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so some of the things that we do normally, if you talk to anyone in email marketing, they'll say set up some flows, send some campaigns, and then they just keep repeating that every month. One of the things that we've done, we've built some internal tools to monitor metrics, for example. And so things like advanced flows, I don't know how familiar you are with email marketing, but when you look at all the automation behind emails, you have like abandoned checkout, welcome sequences, etc. There's a lot more advanced stuff that we've been doing for some of our clients. So, for example, we have a lot of eCom brands that work with us. And then we also have influencers. And influencers, for example, need to be treated differently. But if you go to a typical eCom store, you will get an eCom agency. They will do the same work for you. So one of the things that we do is like very personalized flows, for example. So let's say someone subscribes to, and this is where my software background comes in. Let's say someone goes on Instagram, subscribe to ManyChat. It says comment this, do whatever, goes to ManyChat. We hook into that. We send personalized emails on the back end, that kind of stuff. If you do that at scale, like we have a client that's got about 800K that I can think of, 800K followers on Instagram. We generate them a ton of sales just with this simple integration with ManyChat. There's other things you can do. It's like custom email you can do, custom work. But that's just one example of something that we've done that if they went to a traditional agency, they wouldn't have, and they would miss out on 70K plus per month.
Dude, okay. Now that you're saying it,
insane.
that is amazing. Because like I also have a client on Instagram. I didn't know that you could do basically hook up ManyChat to your email. I didn't know that. That is free.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Okay.
There's lots of small things like that.
So you mentioned earlier you now have like 30 clients, and then you have over like 18 people in your agency. That's something that you said you're proud of. What has been the biggest unlock in like scaling your clients and your team as well?
Yeah, this is the stuff I find really exciting because it's all about growing the agency. So yeah, I mean, we have about 12 or so full-time people and the rest are part-time. So we got plenty of people. And the main thing I've learned after maybe 3 years of doing this is if you find good people, most of your problems automatically get solved. I know that's not the answer a lot of people expect, but it's like I have 3 teams in my agency, right? I have 3 teams and about 5 people operate under each team. And the people that are running those teams are really talented. Okay, I have 2 senior teams and 1 junior team, and the people that are running them are really talented. And I can trust them that they're going to take care of things. Sometimes they need my help or guidance, but I've trained them to the point that they can run all the clients under them. And so I can then focus on marketing myself and the business, which is what you see me do on obviously X all the time and other places. And I'm growing the business while they're keeping the business running. So that's the main thing I've learned is like find good people. If you find that you're constantly building either automations or you have to babysit them, whatever, you've got the wrong people.
I saw this one really good quote from Cody Sanchez. She said like when you scale to I think a million something, but basically when you scale to a certain revenue, it's no longer a how problem, it's a who problem. It's just a matter of like looking for who has my answers and I'm just gonna buy it off from them. Cool. So how did you find like the who
That's
in
absolutely
your
true.
team? Like how did you build that team? How are you looking for people to trust, all that?
Yeah. Mostly by you have to talk to a lot of people before you find the good one. And once you find one person that's good on that role, you know what a good person looks like, which is really interesting because at the beginning you hire a bunch of people, they seem cool, and you think, what the hell? Just keep making mistakes. So you need to find a couple of good people at first, and then after that, you're like, oh, I know what a good person looks like. They don't make a lot of mistakes. When they make mistakes, they don't repeat them. They listen to what clients ask for. They're proactive, so they do things without even being asked to do a lot of the time. But you need to deal with a couple of bad people first and like feel the stress. Dude, and you're like, no, I don't want people like that.
When you say that, I actually feel a little bit of fear because I'm at that stage where I'm like, I'm good, like I'm making good money, but the bottleneck for me to take the next step is to hire people. Like that's where I'm at right now, and it's still hard for me to. I have like one good person, and we've been working for a long time. I tried to hire some people, didn't turn well. Like what you said is like a hard part. People like, whoa. I think I'm just gonna scale down. So I did it. I actually am just keeping my revenue at a certain degree, and I'm not like just closing any clients anymore because I just want to keep it lean. But then like for me to take the next step, it will be that hiring process. It's quite scary, man, because like you're gonna fuck up a ton, and I don't know how to handle that either. Sorry.
Yeah.
You there?
You're breaking up a little bit, by the way.
Hello, you there? You there?
Hopefully you come back.
Can you hear me?
You're there, but you're breaking up a lot. I don't know if
Might
it's
be
my
mine.
connection or yours.
But can you hear me? Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? Is this better? Can you hear me?
Hey. It's a bit better. It's still freezing on the camera. There you go. I think you're back.
Is it
Yeah, there you go.
Like
Could you say something else just to make sure?
Is the connection?
I don't know if it's yours or mine. Are you breaking up?
Sometimes you get a little bit blurred, but it's fine. Do you think? Okay, I'm gonna stop this a little bit. So you talked about scaling. You also talked about developing systems. I'm curious how you did that. How were you able to? Did you create SOPs or did you just have someone create it for you? Like, how did you develop systems?
Yeah, systems are just so important. I'm a big fan of SOPs, but I'm also a big fan of giving people the tools to do things. So SOPs are great, but I found out that at one point I had hundreds of SOPs, and whenever something changes, you have to update them, right? I don't know if you're familiar with that, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not as big of a fan of SOPs other than the absolute core stuff. There's maybe, like, if you find yourself getting too detailed with the SOPs, you're generally making a mistake, in my opinion, right? So what you want, and this goes back to what we were talking about, is having the right people. If you have the right people, you can guide them almost. So sometimes I can send a quick voice message to someone on my team. They know what to do, right? If they're stuck, I'm like, do this, do that. And then when you're done, record yourself, transcript that into an SOP, and we're good for next time, right? But I had, like I said, over 100 SOPs last year, and this year I updated them. I've got maybe 5 SOPs per role, and I have 5 or 6 roles. That's it, right? And the business has been better than ever. I don't think people check them that much as well. So I'm not like, if you think having, I don't know, a Notion with 100, 200 SOPs, it makes you feel great maybe because you've got all this training, but I don't think that's the right way. I think 99% of your problems are fixed by having the right people. I always go back to that.
Right. It's always a who problem, it seems. So I'm curious though, like how do you this is more a personal issue, but how do you like fully trust, like I know that you find the right people, but because one person it's good, but then when you have like other people, it's a bit more difficult to do it, you know what I mean? Because like if you trust one person, it's like your best friend, but then you have a group of friends, like kind of hard to like tell them all your secrets. So how do you really let go of that?
So trust in the sense that trust them to do a good job, and your client's
like,
going to
and deliver for the clients, because you're basically giving your clients to them, and the clients some clients want to work with you, but then in essence you're also working with them. So how do you make sure, how do you trust people in that way?
So the first thing to do is try to get them to win with you. That's the first thing I always say to my team. It's like, we're going to win together or we're going to lose together. It's that simple, right? An example of that is a lot of my team members get paid per client. So our graphic designers get paid per client, our account strategists, etc. So we have that. And so the second thing is you have to protect yourselves with the right workflow. That's the thing that took me years to figure out. So that for me is the answer to your question. So get them in on the upside. So pay them like decently. It doesn't have to be like a crazy amount, but pay them per client. So if they take on a huge client, pay them more, right? A percentage, for example. And then you need workflows. Workflows are really important because I'm sure you know what the journey looks like. And if there's any doubt, then you want to write that down. What does journey look like from the second someone starts with you today to the first month? And then what does it look like recurring? Okay, you're going to map a workflow. And you're going to put systems like a project management thing, really simple, right? It doesn't have to be complicated. We've got it just as stages. The email's in the design stage. It's in the copywriting stage. It's in the build stage, right? It's in the approval stage. And as long as you have those systems and people are following them, they're very unlikely to go wrong, right? You're trusting people to follow a system. When they break away from that, that's when you go, hey, wait a second, you got to follow the system. And if it's not, and let them allow you to improve it. Let them say to you, hey, that's not working. All my systems have been built because my team tells me things. They say, hey, this isn't working. We don't need this stage anymore. I'm like, cool, let's remove it. We don't need it. And let them be part of the solution.
Gotcha. So curious if you've always thought of this as like, because there's a difference when you're doing it as a hustle, when you're like trying to make money, and then now when you run a business and it becomes a leadership thing. Dude, I'm so sorry about that. I don't know what's happening to my internet. Jesus Christ.
Not good. Bad luck today. It's not on your side.
Sorry about that. Okay, anyways. So it's like when you're a specialist, it seems that or like when you're trying to hustle, you want to just make money, right? And you're just like really trying to get results. But then when you're running a business, it becomes more of a leadership thing. In a way, you're not only responsible for your client, but also your employees. And it's like, it's so hard to think macro, because like when you're used to doing certain things, especially in email marketing, at least for me in ghostwriting, and then your team does other things. Like they write a thread. Speaking from experience, they write a thread, and it's not really the way you write threads, and you're like, I don't think this is gonna work. Like, how did you go from that specialist to like a leader? Would you say that that's also something you struggled with, or?
Yeah, massively. Yeah. So again, this is protecting yourself with systems, right? Or guiding people with systems. That's the other way to think about it. So anything that in your case, anything that we're struggling with, and I talk to myself about this all the time, is where does that sound? I'm like, there's a skill issue here. I'm missing something to make this work. The problem that you just mentioned, I recently fixed something similar internally, and it was like, why do people keep doing designs, not respecting the brand guidelines for our clients? Or why do they keep writing copy that the client asked them not to do? And it was as simple to fix as creating a quick document for each department. Each department has, so the design department have their doc, or it could be a Notion, doesn't matter. The copywriting has, so it's like, don't use these words, don't do this, don't do that. Anytime they finish something, they have to look there before they pass it to the next stage. So they have to review their own work before passing it along, right? When you have to do a lot more than that, and people aren't paying attention to the systems and processes, that's a skill, that's a person issue. That's not a system issue. So yeah. So whenever something like that happens, I think, is there a system missing here? Because if you give people the guidance and they follow it and it gets you the right result, then you're good. If not, then it's on them. But most of the time, it's us that's missing the skill to get that result that you're trying to do.
Gotcha. That's really good advice. Really like the systems. I like the way you talked about systems and like focusing on macro and having these checklists, because then it allows them to just have like their own creative juices, because like you don't have to look over their shoulder all the time. So now that you have that systems in place and you're focusing on like on getting more clients, you're focusing on more of marketing. How has your personal brand evolved? Because I know that you mentioned before your personal brand is one of the strongest ways you've gotten clients. How's that helping you right now?
It's helping massively. I mean, this podcast is an example, right? You dropped me a DM recently, which was cool. It's really interesting because everyone I know that's killing it, Cody, for example, Cody Nordquist, you'll know him on Twitter. Everyone knows him. I know we talked about him. He's been coaching me on a few different things over the last few months, and he's just killing it. He's one of the best marketers I've talked to, and I pay for a lot of people's time. That's really important. And one of the things he said to me is, take these actions and your personal brand is going to grow a lot. And I've been following a lot of his advice, and it's just been a massive change for me. Like, I'm getting brands that are making $1 million plus a month reaching out to me pretty regularly. We're closing some of those deals. I'm getting really good opportunities, consulting, like younger agency owners asking me for advice. I used to run a program I don't run anymore, but I still do some level of coaching. It just opens up doors. Like anyone watching this, just your personal brand is everything. Is everything. Anytime you're not working on the business, focus on that, because like I made a joke to a friend of mine this year, and I said, I'm no longer a chief executive officer. I'm no longer a CEO. As much as that doesn't mean much, I'm a content execution officer. That's my job now. And it's just, content is everything. The bigger you get, the more you realize that, whether it's the size of your newsletter or following online, that's where the real money is ultimately.
So what are you thinking of in terms of personal brand moving forward? Are you gonna like start vlogging, like day in the life of an eCom advertiser, or like what are you thinking? What can we expect?
Yeah, not vlogging yet. Is vlogging still? Is it back? I don't know. No, nothing like that. Honestly, I'm just trying to provide as much value as I can. Not because I'm a selfless nice guy, it's because I know that brings benefits. I'm honestly just trying to grow gradually on all platforms in the healthiest way. At least, I'm just starting out on IG. Twitter obviously is my main one, LinkedIn a bit as well, and the newsletter is growing pretty fast. So I'm just trying to focus on growing across the board, because you never know when the right opportunity comes. Could be launching kind of a new product, a new program. I'm just trying to provide as much value as possible, and in order to attract clients, to attract the right opportunities. But growth, I said this to someone last week. You see a few people like Chase Diamond absolutely killing it. At least he's in my field. Cody's absolutely killing it. I'm sure you know a ton of people, especially ghostwriting, that are killing it, right? So everything points to personal brand, or at least growing some level of authority online.
100%. It's the new wave, I would say. I mean, like that's what Naval at least talks about. Like the code before it was like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk. But then in a way, Elon Musk also became rich because of his personal brand. Like no, that's a controversial take, but his Twitter thing is kind of like why his brands are successful. But okay, so you mentioned newsletter. So your newsletter has been growing fast, and like, do you have any strategies on that, on like how you grow email lists fast?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I have to say is I still am working with the legacy builder guys. I don't know if you know Clifton Sellers and Brett. They're great. They've been a huge part of helping me grow online, so I want to make sure I give them credit for that. In terms of newsletter, they actually helped me relaunch my newsletter recently, which has been really cool. I used to have a really small following when I used to run my program, but that's been growing really fast. From my plan is kind of ads, giving value on social media, like obviously lead magnets, and then also run some ads on in other people's newsletters. So that's my growth plan at the moment. I was just finishing a lead magnet before getting on this call. I'm going to launch in the next few days, which should be cool. But yeah, newsletter is where so much kind of money is going to be. So I'm focusing a lot on that as well.
Right. And in terms of like newsletters, do you think that that's also a crucial part for personal brands? Because, a lot of people think that when you do social media, that should be enough, but then there's, like they kind of miss a point. But what are your thoughts on that? What would you say to tell someone who's like, oh, it's just social media, bro?
10,000%, I would say newsletters are so important. I mean, my job is to land emails in people's inboxes. So I understand the value. Like, we have influencers that we run emails for and a bunch of other stuff. And it's so powerful. Like, you want to be on the newsletters because that's where the real money is. Social media has got some of the money, but the real money is in the newsletter, because you've got that direct access one-on-one with people. It's so powerful. You get that list to, like, any influencer or anyone comes to me and says, I have a newsletter with 50K people. I'm like, or 100,000. It's money. I see the money, right?
Yeah.
There's no way around it.
Yeah, that's also, so like before, when I was ghostwriting, one of the first things that people told me was like the email list. And I was just like, okay, whatever. I'll just like create a Beehive account. Like, I created a Beehive account. I didn't even send any email. I just plugged it to my then it grew. Like in 3 months, I got 500 from zero, which is, I think it's fast. Like, I don't know about other people, but I didn't run ads. I didn't have anything. It just grew. And then at that time, I actually had a hard time landing any client. So what I did was I created a workshop, like on what I do, and then sold that to the people, and I got like $1,000, which is still, like, for a 500 list. I was like, that's pretty good. And then those people, they actually upsold themselves. Like, they loved the workshop so much that they became my clients. Eventually, I was like, holy shit, they're not lying. Like, the money's in the email. Now I'm focused a lot on email, and I do feel what you said with the if you have a lot of subscribers, like, yeah, it's pretty much, you can make money pretty quickly.
Definitely. As long as they're high quality and somewhat engaged, you will make money. Definitely.
Yeah, as long as like the way you got them is in a quality way. So
exactly.
So now that you've worked with over 60 brands, you've generated millions, tens of millions in revenue, you're growing your personal brand. What are you looking to do in 2025? We're now in Q2, like for the rest of 2025, what's your focus?
Yeah, definitely. So the way I see growth, at least for us this year, it's keep the business, the machine running. I try to think of everything within the business as a machine. So keep the machine of service delivery running. So that's my team doing things. I support them lightly without me being too involved most of the time. There's exceptions. So keep that machine running because that's what brings the cash flow. You can't forget about where the main money comes from. And then keep the content machine running. So that's the other, I've got 4 or 5 people focused on content for us. I still create everything myself, mostly, like the recording, all that kind of stuff. But keep those machines running. But then on top of that, have ads running for whether it's for clients, for growth of the newsletter, invest like almost all the profit except for like safety money, reinvesting back in the business and the personal brand. That's my focus. So making sure that newsletters going out every week, making sure that I'm investing on getting new subscribers, making sure I'm releasing lead magnets. That's the plan. But the plan is really to grow to a certain point where those bigger clients are going to gravitate towards us because of the reach that we have. Yeah.
100%. Sounds very exciting, man. Like the way you broke down your processes, I learned a lot personally. Like from that, it's a really good process, and I'm excited for you, dude. I'm excited for you. So
Thanks, man.
So to people who are interested in working with you, looking for ways to like partner with you, maybe where can they find you, and how can they contact you, man?
Yeah. I mean, you can just go to ecomadvertisers.com, but I actually think that the best way to talk to me is go on Twitter and just DM me. I check my DMs once a day. You just Twitter, the Daniel Filipe.
Yeah, we'll link that down below as well. And yeah, so that's Daniel for you guys. Thanks for hopping in. I apologize for the all those cuts to people who are watching, and to Daniel as well. I appreciate your patience. Thank you for all the value, man, and I hope to see you around soon. Again, really excited.
Thanks so much. It's been a pleasure, Nathaneal. Thanks, man.
Cheers, bro.
Take care.